What up, everybody? Anyone that ends up watching this, getting ready for the watch along with today's Beyond the Gates episode. I gotta, although I'm having technical difficulties with good old Paramount Plus. Well, this might not work out today if I can't get it to work. All right, I finally got it. Hopefully, people, I do like the chat helping me get through these episodes. All right, people are joining in. We'll see what the aftermath of the stabbing is today. I do think Old Trash is back on today, though, so that's never fun. At least not for me. And like always, I like to say my Paramount Plus stream is usually like a minute behind CBS episode. And I'll be taking notes, so apologies for any typing. Starting with Vernon. Looks like maybe nothing too bad is wrong with Vernon. As people pointed out in the comments yesterday, Smitty being a hypocrite with his secret and breaking in with Martin's mother's computer. What's up, Lulu? Welcome back to the chat. And here's Trash and Joey to have the same scenes as always. I don't know if we're supposed to believe that this is Trash's rise to villainy, but she's too stupid to be a kingpin. What's up, Bookchella in the chat? I too am also so sick of Vanessa in case that hasn't been clear for months now. A Jan appearance today. I still like Jan more than her daughter. I wonder who will find old Grayson, if anyone. The thing with Ren doing this in the hospital, it seems like the higher ups in this Impaler storyline would be upset with that, one would think. Because yeah, that's a messy place to, do some dirty work. What's up, ATC3X, who says, "Vanessa, enough, so start your own empire." Just enough of Vanessa in general. Book Cellist says, "Exactly, why bring attention to the hospital?" Yeah, it seems like the worst plan if this is, like, the main source of them getting blood plasma other than the free clinic, but I don't think that's even started yet. ATC says, "Exactly, in the hospital staircase, there are cameras around the hospital." Well, if General Hospital is anything like this soap opera, there will be no cameras. I'm gonna take a few notes for a minute, so I'm gonna turn down my microphone, and then I will come back to the chat. What's up, Company Confidential? Welcome to the chat. ATC says, "Or the camera system was down." Yeah, it's always something convenient on a soap opera when cameras can help. ATC says, "Yes, Jan is more entertaining than Ashley." I agree. Company Confidential says, "I guess we need to complain about Vanessa so we can get a break." Yeah, I mean, they clearly don't listen to my complaints, so y'all are gonna have to get out on social media and complain about trash for me. I also don't understand why Vanessa needs to be on so much, because if she's on with Joey, they literally have the same conversations every time. ETC says, "When this investigation is over, Ashley's going to be mad at Jacob and Naomi." I don't know if she needs to be mad at Naomi. I don't know if Naomi knows about Grayson's involvement. Ashley needs to be mad at Grayson and move on to a storyline that doesn't involve relationships. Book Chalice says, "Well, they finally demoted Tomas." True. All right, mine's finally back with Jen and Ashley. Don't you worry, Ashley. Grayson's not going to be able to eat with that stomach. I'd rather see Jen on a date than Ashley. And Jen giving us our Tide ad for the day. And Ashley, too. Wow, a whole commercial for Tide in the episode. I don't even know what to say about these scenes with Joey and Vanessa. Bookchella says they need to bring Doug back from the dead. It's the only way at this point with Vanessa and Joey. Yeah, the only thing that could save this terrible storyline. Once again, unneeded scenes between them that they've had before. I mean, this time I can't take Smitty's concerns seriously about risks and danger with his and Jacob's nonsense. I agree, Bookchella. Bookchella says it's repetitive with Joey and Vanessa, same conversation over and over again. Agreed. It's too bad we can't fast forward when it's live. Well, at least Vernon's not keeping this a secret like the rest of the family does. The only thing I can think this week during these episodes is I miss Lynette. This has not been a strong week at all. ATC says, I'm sick of Vanessa. Me too. What's up, Bobby Wobby? Bobby Wobby says, if Joey was also involved in selling drugs and extortion, would Vanessa still want to be involved? Vanessa makes it sound like she wants to be involved with all of Joey's dangerous stuff. Bookchella misses Lynette too. Yeah, that storyline was at least entertaining. Because if I'm looking over my notes of today's episode, we're dealing with Trash and Joey having the same conversation. We're having a similar conversation to Martin and Smitty that they've had in the past, and Smitty's just being a hypocrite now. And then Ashley planning a date with Grayson, who's not going to show up for the date. Good shit. ATC says Vanessa and Joey have the same conversation. Joey sends her out the country to handle some business. Send her somewhere. Book Chalice says she was the most fleshed out character they created in a long time. You're talking about Lynette? I agree. Martino says Netflix trying to buy Radford Studios, currently the Big Brother house. Hopefully Big Brother gets a new house. It's time for them to upgrade, I think. ATC says yes, Vanessa wants to do anything. She does. I think her obsession with Joey is absurd. Bookchella says Vanessa is selfish and doesn't give a damn about her kids. She doesn't. And I feel like the show tries to tell us so often how much Vanessa misses Doug, how much she cares about her kids, but the actions we always see on screen is the complete opposite. And I don't know if that's just bad writing or what, or if they're intending to show us that Vanessa sucks so much. Bobby Wobby says, I wish she would at least find out that Joey rigged the poker game that put Doug in debt in the first place. I mean, yeah, she has a lot to find out. But the problem, like I've been saying, is do I even care if Vanessa finds out? Because I don't believe that she cares about Doug's death. Book Chalice says, sadly, she'd still choose Joey, and that's the problem. That's why there's no payoff to the story unless Vanessa loses everything. But then you got stupid Nicole taking the high road with her, saying, I'll protect you. If anything happens to you, you could fall back on me. So that doesn't excite me for the payoff either. If I had a way to watch ABC Live, I would flip over to General Hospital during Vanessa and Joey scenes. Bookchella says, I wanted the break in Nicole and Vanessa's friendship to be longer. I agree, and it should have been because I don't even feel like Vanessa made anything up to Nicole. ATC says Vanessa should be working her relationship with her kids. Yeah, but she doesn't care. Just wrapped up in the same old Joey nonsense. Bobby Wobby says, I wish it was a rival gangster trying to take over Joey's territory. Would be better than these scenes. ATC also agrees that Vanessa and Nicole made up too fast. They did. It's, these head writers being allergic to drama. This is boring, ATC. I'm not even paying attention. I wish we could move on, ATC. Glad that's over. And this this Martin and Smitty conversation isn't that much more interesting than Vanessa and Joey. And Martin needs another therapist that's not his mother. Bobby Wobby says, Grayson just bleeding in the stairwell while the show is dragging. Yeah, they don't want to show us anything actually exciting today, I guess. Book Chalice says, I don't get it. Martin will have trouble running for the Senate, but he thought he could be president. True. Lulu says, I know, right? Why is his mom his therapist? Shouldn't be. Oh, a Rashad appearance today. Jacob learning that he sucked at his job. Well, I guess he's not bleeding out quite yet. Oh, yeah, great time to call Rashad. Don't call anyone at the hospital that you're stabbed in the stairwell. I'm gonna take some notes and then I'll get to the chat. What's up, Zakaria? Hopefully, I'm saying that right. Book Chalice says Jacob is a terrible cop. Really is. Bobby Wobby says dial 911 fool. I mean, or just anyone he knows that also works at the hospital, I think would work. Lulu says, so Jacob, the reason Grayson was stabbed, wow, doesn't make sense. It really kind of doesn't for Ren and the higher ups. Lulu also said, why he think Jacob would care if Grayson was stabbed. I guess maybe he's trying to send Jacob a message that that could have been him instead of Grayson, since they both tried to move the drop off spot. I don't know. I'm also trying to make sense of the current writing for this show. ATC says Martin's mob will keep his secret. That's true. Book Chalice says, I thought they might have Grayson desperate enough to reach out to Ashley, dragging her into the fray. Guess not. He might have to if Rashad doesn't answer his phone. Lulu says, does he know Grayson is a friend? Perhaps. Bobby Wobby says, F that. I would have called the hospital. Yeah. ATC says, please, let's leave Ashley out of this. I mean, yeah, it's not making her more interesting for me, but maybe it can. Zach Araya. Okay, thank you for pointing that out to me because I am terrible with names. Is that correct? Zach Araya? I'm gonna forget next time, just by the way, but for now, I will try to say Zachariah. ATC says, "Dial someone in the hospital. What can Jacob do?" I'm assuming he's wanting to call Rashad so that it's not weird that Grayson was stabbed in the stairwell of the hospital and people at the hospital start being suspicious about that. But still, Bobby Wobby says Ren probably wanted to see Jacob's reaction. Yeah, that's true. Back with Anita and Vernon. I don't know how Anita was supposed to notice all this with what she was going through. Anita and Vernon deliver solid acting. That's about it. They are great actors. I am glad that the cancer storyline is starting to wrap a bit. Bobby Wobby says if Jacob shows sympathy, he is in trouble. True. I think there's enough politicians in the family, Vernon. At least Anita and Vernon have a solid relationship compared to anyone else on the show. What's up, Carmen? Carmen says they are now going to connect the stabbing of Grayson and the breaking of Nicole's computer as a crime wave in the hospital. Good point, Carmen. They should, at least. Book Chalice says, yes, I like Anita and Vernon. ATC says, so I guess no unaliving Bill. I'm ready for Smitty Martin to wrap up this conversation. I'm a little more interested in what Joey has to say, even though it'll probably be nothing. Bobby Wobby says, if Grayson survived, he ain't snitching. Yeah, he's not going to snitch. ATC says, boring Martin is selfish. He can be. But Smitty is a hypocrite right now with all of his bumbling and fumbling with Rashad and their alley. I would still love to know what message this is sending to Ren's higher ups. Call someone at the hospital, Grayson. Just more of Jacob's good work. I mean, if he can still walk, he might as well just walk back upstairs into the hospital. Ashley's still doing a tight at. Just anyway, let me go to the chat. What's up, Ali Bordeaux? Hello. Bocelli says, I liked Hothead Martin better. Me too. Lulu says they are good actors and actresses, but the writer doesn't use them in the right roles. As for Tomas, he would have done better as a bad guy because he kind of had that emotional intelligence of a serial killer. Yeah, Tomas should have been like Jason on General Hospital. They should have given him a head injury, and then I could buy him more, I think. Ali Bordeaux says, why is Grayson texting Rashad and Jacob? He's not a doctor. I guess he doesn't want to look suspicious that he's stabbed in the hospital. I don't know. Bobby, you don't like Jacob's Rashad impression? ATC says he's texting Jacob because he's a cop, but really he needs to get out of that staircase. Yeah. Hello, Dee Dee. Book Chalice says, I'm going to keep saying it until it comes to fruition. Get new writers. I think at best, maybe we could get a new co head writer that isn't Tracy Thompson, but I don't even know if that's possible anytime soon. ATC says it's Jacob's fault Grayson got stabbed. Jacob has botched this undercover. I 100% agree. Carmen says he should have texted the chief of the hospital. True. Yeah, Carmen's right. That would be the more obvious choice since they're both kind of involved with the shady dealings. And she shouldn't be happy that this is happening at the hospital. Bobby Wobby says they need to beg Robert Goose to come back. I feel like he only signed up for the first 6 months and maybe didn't want to be a head writer again. So I don't know if it's going to be Guza, unfortunately. Dee Dee says we need someone experienced in writing soaps. Yeah, I don't know who it would be though, because a lot of the decent soap writers are also as old as Michelle Valjean. Book Chalice says Grayson may not want to tell Leah because he suspects she's behind it. Fair point. ATC says Leah will find out it happened in the hospital. She should. I agree, Ali. So many commercials, so many drug commercials. Dee are you talking about Jacob with his cell phone? Grayson and Jacob. I don't At this point, I don't even understand what Jacob's plan is with this undercover work. All Jacob does is try to get answers out of Grayson and doesn't, and then call Naomi to meet up. Bobby says it would be a good move if Leah knew what happened and rescued Grayson. Ali says, "Thank God there's nothing seriously wrong with Vernon." I agree, because that would have been too much with two back-to-back health stories. Book Chalice says the writers don't seem to know what to do with the Impaler storyline. I agree. It just spins its wheels, kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. At least we finally got action out of it, I guess. Do you think we'll see Anita and Vernon in New Orleans? Ew, why would Trash come to see them? Rashad getting pushed around today. Well, it looks like Leah was in on it and has the cameras off. This Leah and Ren phone call would be more interesting if we just knew more about them, the actual hierarchy in this Impaler storyline. Yeah. Smitty's hypocrisy. I'm way behind in the chat. Dee Dee says, "Who was in the elevator with Jacob? A red new female coming on the show?" I think it was maybe a nobody. Book Chalice says they'll be in a hotel room in New Orleans. How did Grayson get to Ashley's? Okay. Sorry, I gotta take notes and then I'll finally get to the chat. All right, sorry. Let's see where I am in the chat. Zachariah says, I keep thinking that Vernon's name is also Bill. He looks like one. Does he? Bobby says, exactly 100%. They could at least show who they selling the plasma to. We do need more info in this entire story. Alvin Chapman says, I'm bored with this. This entire week has been mostly boring. Z Hicks says Grayson is gonna get Jacob killed. Stupidest undercover ever. All done at hometown. Yeah, Jacob's struggling. Dee Dee says Leah did know. She did. Bookchala says that's what I figured about Leah. LOL at Ren. Yeah, Ren likes to do things the violent way, I guess we're supposed to think. But I still don't understand why. I don't know. I'm confused why Leah had Ren handle the repercussions if they were going to be at the hospital. It doesn't make sense to the hierarchy of this Impaler storyline. Kaiwan says that wasn't the plan, as in she's Joey's sister. I don't think Leah is Joey's sister, at least I hope not. Bobby says Leah might have to sacrifice Ren for insubordination. I could see that happening to Ren, actually. Dee Dee says, why would Jacob call Smitty knowing he's being watched? Well, are you talking about his security guards? They're not supposed to follow Smitty when he goes somewhere alone, allegedly. Carmen says, does she live close to the hospital? She must, because Grayson not only managed to get out of the stairwell, but walk all the way to her house, or did he drive? I need to know. Is there blood all over his car right now? Ali Bordeaux says, I'm not surprised that Leah was in on the Grayson stabbing. Yeah, me either. Book Chalice says, what is Smitty going to do? I don't know. Maybe break into Nicole's office and try and find out how to stop bleeding. Bobby also confused how Grayson walked to Ashley's house. Yeah, I guess they are bringing Ashley into this storyline. Lulu also finds it odd that he went all the way to Ashley's house. I'm going to ignore this Vanessa scene and just talk to the chat. Ali says, now how is Grayson going to explain to Ashley how he got stabbed? Agreed. Shout out to Book Diva, always telling people to like. Thank you, Book Diva. Yeah, Bobby, Ashley must be close to the hospital. What up, Devin? Welcome to the live chat. Z Hicks says, injured and walked in open town to Ashley's apartment. No undercover here. True. Even some homeless person might have been like, why are you bleeding walking in the street, guy? Lydia Duncan said, he will probably tell Ashley he was mugged on the way to her house, probably. I don't understand why I'm Tyler to you, Devin. Book Diva says, I really need for Gramps to have a bad day All the fixies he's involved in, he never stressed. Agreed. Joey does need to have a bad day. He's the only villain that hasn't had a bad day. All right, let me try and pay attention to trash. Okay, Anita. Is Vanessa really going to try and get Anita to be on the Joey train too? Anyway, this is stupid. Let me go back to the chat. Z Hicks says Ashley may start working for Leah. Great career. Maybe she should. Dee Dee says Ashley should think about what Derek told her. Good point, Dee Dee. Carmen says so. He was going to Ashley's house for dinner, but didn't go home to change his clothes. I think Grayson was about to go home, but was talking to his mama on the phone before he got stabbed. Devin, who is Grandma Pimp? Taiwan, I actually don't think Vanessa and Nicole have been friends for that long since we saw their flashback in the last episode. Alvin says this Vanessa character is like most white women. Yeah, she might be more audacious than most. Maybe at her age, they're all that way. Z Hicks says Vanessa needs to stop wearing low neck clothing, not attractive at all. I can't disagree. Vanessa's not a grandma though, Devin. She's like 40s tops. Well, at least Ashley gets to save Grayson's life. Guess that's supposed to be romantic for them. Ashley just looks dumb again. I mean, if Ashley is not upset about this secret, like she was upset about Derek being able to walk, it's gonna be insane to me. I'm gonna have to go back to dragging Ashley like I used to. Mm. Now who the hell would be at the door? Jan? Let's see what y'all are saying in the chat. Yeah, Kaiwan, they had flashbacks about when Nicole and Vanessa became friends, and it only seemed like a decade or two ago. Ali says, Jacob is so stupid talking to Smitty in the warehouse. You would think Ren would still be around. Devin says, we need Vanessa's dad to come back then and be like, why you're dating someone my age. Fair enough. Zachariah says, I love the Grandpa Gangster nickname. That's who Joey is to me. Ali says, is Grayson going to confess to Ashley? It looks like a little bit. Carmen says, Ashley's mother is just at the door. I would say so too. Ali says, hopefully it's Smitty at the door. I don't know how Smitty would know to go there, though. Bobby says Grayson is doing some good acting today. He's a soap vet. I always forget his name, but I do think he's a pretty good actor. Alvin says Grayson also does have HVAC commercials in the Raleigh, North Carolina media markets. That's interesting. I wonder why Raleigh. Carmen says Ashley should see now what Derek said about Grayson is true. She should. I don't need Ashley to be upset with Grayson right now that he could die, but she still needs to be upset about the secret since they built up Ashley to be so dramatic about Derek's secret that he could watch. Z Hicks says Grayson drags Ashley into this saga. How loving. Kaiwan says if this storyline leads to Nurse Ashley being the daughter of Joey, that'll make it something. I don't know if I want Ashley to be Joey's daughter. Lydia Duncan says, OCG, we can hear you breathing heavily when you get frustrated with the stupid scenes. It's probably mostly Vanessa when I do that. Although I've been ignoring the Vanessa scenes today and just talking to you all. Book Chalice says Leah may get suspicious of Smitty, who's already hanging out at the hospital. Hopefully. Yes, Jordi Villasuso, I think is his name. Book Chala, thank you. Devin says, when Smitty's undercover, that's Brian, because even his own husband doesn't know his name. You hate that nickname that Martin still calls him, huh, Devin? Kaiwan says, how can Kat have more know in the streets than Jacob and Smitty? That's a good point. Uppity Kat should not be a better investigator than Jacob and even Smitty just because she listens to true crime podcasts. ATC thinks Leah will know Grayson went to Ashley's. If Ashley lives close to the hospital, maybe Leah knows that. Dee Dee says, I don't remember Joey ever mentioning about a child. I don't think he has. All right, here's our last segment for the day. Let me take some notes. Vanessa's not even at Anita and Vernon's today anymore, which means her scenes today weren't even necessary. Just pointless Vanessa scenes. Don't know why she's on so much lately. Devin says, Cat reminds me of the Elsbeth woman on CBS at night. Never seen it. Kaiwan doesn't understand why they don't just make Cat the detective. She's too uppity to be a detective. Oh, yay. Vanessa moving into Joey's, or at least moving stuff into Joey's. I do like Martin calling Joey Anastasia. Another problem with Grandpa Gangster is he has all this information, has people under his thumb, never goes anywhere though. Jacob doesn't love this plan, but Jacob don't have any plan of his own. I mean, Jack should find this suspicious. That would have been a better cliffhanger if it wasn't Ashley. All right, let me see what y'all are saying before I have to go get ready to record my review of today's episode. Dee Dee says Joey will put it together. Not sure what you're talking about. Ali says, I really enjoyed the watch along. Happy I had a few days off, but my fun time ends today. Well, thank you for watching, Ali. Sorry your fun time ends today. Lulu says, yeah, Martin throwing shade at Joey. LOL. I did enjoy Martin's shade. Bookchella says, I think Kat has more chemistry with Jacob. I kind of agree. I mean, certainly more than Tomas. That's not very hard, though, I guess. Dee Dee says, I don't get how they talked private stuff in public places. That's a soap opera staple. Z Hicks says Martin's bodyguard is listening to conversations. I mean, you would think. ATC said, wait, did she put a picture of her kids up? I missed what Vanessa was putting up in Joey's house, but knowing that trash mother, probably. That's supposed to get us to think that Vanessa really does care about her kids. And she don't. Bookchella says, wow, this watch along helped me get through another episode. Me too, Bookchella. I definitely had more fun chatting with you all than watching Vanessa scenes or having to watch Vanessa scenes. Dee Dee says that woman in the elevator is the one that they're talking about in debt. Maybe. Carmen says Ashley is just going to say she cut herself chopping up vegetables. Probably. Kaiwan says it would. Sorry, Kaiwan, I don't know what you're saying. Something about Kat and Jacob, I assume. Dee Dee says Joey was obviously listening to them. He was, which is why I'm glad Martin threw a little shade and called him Anastasia. All right, I must go. I must record my review of today's show, so I will post that later. I'm going to try and be back for another watch along tomorrow. I'm not going to guarantee it tomorrow, but I am going to definitely try because it makes it far easier to watch, especially this week's episodes of Beyond the Gates, because it has been kind of a boring week overall. We've had progress yesterday and today, but maybe not enough. But yes, thank you all for joining me. Peace out, Devin. Peace out, the rest of y'all.